kind of general technicals just suggest that it's just a correction mid-market. And in this year, if this is supposed to be the big year, then we should see some of these moves. And for me, I love these corrections because they're out of the way. So we should, it should just continue higher over time. So, again, my projection for Bitcoin for the end of this year is
you're effectively saying that Bitcoin is going to 8x from where it is today in the next 6 months.
So every post-halving cycle, Bitcoin does roughly the same thing in the final year of the post-halving cycle. You generally get this big correction sometime in the summer, and generally it tends to 10x from there. It kind of is still within its logarithmic trend. So it's kind of just moving around within the range once you look at it in a log chart. So that kind of works for me. Also, all of us got in the background the stock to flow idea and a whole bunch of other cycle stuff, and just kind of general technicals just suggest that it's just a correction mid-market. And in this year, if this is supposed to be the big year, then we should see some of these moves. And for me, I love these corrections because they're out of the way. Because then you can think, oh, okay, fine, don't need to think about that again. So we should, it should just continue higher over time. So, again, my projection for Bitcoin for the end of this year is north of 250,000. So I think we got a lot of action to come.
So Willy Woo posted a tweet when this correction happened. In the tweet, he said that he showed a chart of who was actually buying this. And he showed that the people that were actually buying the dip were no coiners, people that had never owned crypto before. Do you think that was institutional buying?
I think it's both, because there's a bunch of retail who look at the price and think, oh, it's too expensive for me, which is obviously silly because you can buy it in fractional. But a bunch of others were looking at it. My guess is a bunch of hedge funds pulled the trigger because they love stuff like that, right? There's a bull market. They understand there's all this money coming into it, and you're given the gift of a 50% correction in the middle of that with no real change in fundamentals. You take it. Yeah.
Okay, so at no point did you have any concern? For you, it was like, okay, market's coming down. I'm a long-term hodler anyway. I'm not trading in and out.
No, because look, everyone's heard me bore on about this all the time. Wall of money, right? It's not like it's a bunch of retail passing a bag to each other. It's actually real investors with real size buying every dip. And it's like, and most of them still haven't onboarded yet. So they've got all these institutions, they take fucking forever to get themselves set up. But once they get there, they will allocate capital over time. So all I know is there's more capital coming.
Okay, now I know your background is like you're a hedge fund guy, you're a traditional finance guy, you've seen it all. The reason that was cited for this correction, if you look at all the data kind of shows that this market was over leveraged. So you had a whole lot of people that took too much leverage on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, playing 10x leverage, got liquidated. That formed a spiral of other liquidations, and that's what caused everything to come down so quickly, and also to chase away the weak hands from the market. Having seen that and seen the traditional world, do you think that this market is actually over leveraged? Do you think that the fact that the retail investor is playing in this, do you think this market is an over leveraged market?
It is an over leveraged market, but it's different. I mean, I know it's over leveraged because the guy who cuts my hair, young Filipino guy in the Cayman Islands, him and all his mates are wildly punting, 25x, altcoins. And I'm like, wow. So that's fine. But what's different about it versus the traditional system is it's kind of over collateralized. So everyone gets stopped out, they laugh about it. It's very typical of the space. People but basically joke about it. You see it all over, Reddit as well. People find it funny. They kind of understand the risk they're running. So it's not like dumb retail who don't understand the risk. They know it's a punt and it's a mad punt. But if they get it right, they can make some good cash. So I get it, but it's also not systemic in the risk, because it's not like massive whales with huge leverage that then seeps into the banking system. It just doesn't work that way. So it's actually a lot better, a lot easier. So leverage is going to be a feature of this market, but it means we get a lot of volatility, which is also good, because if you know where you are in the trend, you could be a buyer or a seller and take advantage of it.
I guess I know we've both bought into this that Bitcoin will replace gold one day, disrupt gold, replace gold. The more you listen to Michael Saylor, the more you realize that Bitcoin may actually replace stocks, a large amount of stocks and a large amount of bonds. Do you agree with Ray Dalio that the growth of Bitcoin may become its own worst enemy? in that government right now are looking at this and going, it's a $1 trillion asset class, which is not really disruptive. But at $5 trillion or $10 trillion, it's starting to threaten government bonds. It's starting, would rather put their money in Bitcoin than hold government bonds or corporate bonds. And then it actually does start to become a big threat.
I've always said this, once it starts getting over 10 trillion, governments really care. Are they going to stop it? Can they ban it at that point? No. But they care because it becomes a global asset class that matters. But don't forget, the equity market's like 200 trillion, the bond market's like 250 trillion. So this is noise still. And I know everyone thinks like Bitcoin, it's going to take over the world, but it's still minuscule. It's $1 trillion. I mean, it's nothing. So, yeah, he's right. People will care about it. If it does it too quickly, the governments will care about it. But if it goes up over time, they're fine with it. I mean, it's not like they care about gold. I know people say, oh, no, they're conspiring to keep down the price of gold. I don't believe that at all. But they've existed alongside gold forever, and it offers the same kind of way of getting out of the financial system. So I don't really think it's as big a deal, particularly if the financial system builds on it all.
In 2017, everybody was a skeptic. In the beginning of 2021, there were very few skeptics. When I speak to people now, 1% of them are skeptics. Are you feeling the same thing? When you hear the conversations, are you feeling that right now we're over skepticism and it's how am I going to do this? I've got to get through the regulatory hurdles. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to store it versus, no, I'm not going to touch Bitcoin. I don't understand it.
It was, I think you're right. I think we got to something like 10% skepticism. So I think the ECB, the European Central Bank, spread the ESG FUD. Because European investors have a mandate, an ESG mandate, and it's taken extremely seriously. So all the ECB had to say is, hey guys, look at what you're doing. This looks like it's a pollutant and it's dangerous for the environment. Are you sure you want to do it? Because the ECB wants to slow down adoption while they roll out their own central bank digital currency and get this kind of control, regulation of the system. So I think it's the ECB.
So what do you think the flow was between ECB and Elon? Because Elon broke the FUD, right? Elon was the center point of the FUD.
No, it came before.
Okay.
What happened is, don't forget, Elon is applying to be a part of the US carbon credit system, a new one that's being built. So how better can you do this by saying, if the US government said to him, hey, listen, you can't have all this Bitcoin and apply for this permit. And, or he thought he was going to get questioned about it. There's no better way than create more FUD around it, get the market to clean it up, and then he's able to just move forwards once the narrative's cleared. I think he knows what he's doing. And it was done on purpose, to get that credentials that he needs to be part of that, because Tesla's a large part of their revenues of these carbon credits. Government subsidies, and also he also knows that it's a red herring. I mean, he's not stupid.
Look, I think that a lot more people than we think have bought Bitcoin. I think a lot of them are sitting on the sideline. I mean, Facebook had a shareholders meeting. Everyone thought that they would announce that they were holding Bitcoin. Apple I don't know if they made an announcement, but they posted a job which had the word Bitcoin in it, and everybody speculated they're now going all in on crypto. I just know a lot of the conversations that I'm having with everybody. So you kind of know, because I get people reach out to me, I have conversations, and you kind of then suddenly it's announced over time. So everybody's looking at it, everybody. So we should, it should just continue higher over time. So, again, my projection for Bitcoin for the end of this year is north of 250,000. So I think we've got a lot of action to come.